Shalom. I'm Eddie Chumney of Hebraic Heritage Ministries, and we welcome you to this week's Focus Israel Report. In this week's report, we're going to be sharing with you regarding the current status of the Israeli-Palestinian peace process, and it is as follows. Turkish Prime Minister Erdogan said that any two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict would require Israel to return to the 1967 borders. The establishment of a Palestinian state is a necessary condition in order for there to be a peace process, he said. Erdogan also said that reconciliation between Hamas, who controls the Gaza Strip, and Fatah, who controls the West Bank, is necessary in order for there to be a normalization in Palestinian-Israeli relations. Erdogan said that Hamas and Fatah should reconcile with each other, and we cannot differentiate between Hamas and Fatah because both are our brothers in heart. I don't believe a resolution can be made between Israel and the Palestinians unless there is reconciliation between Hamas and Fatah. In response to these comments, Israel Justice Minister Tzipi Livni, who is in charge of peace negotiations with the Palestinians for Israel, responded to Erdogan's comments by saying that a peace agreement between Israel and a Hamas-led Palestinian government would be impossible. There is no chance of striking a peace deal with Hamas, she said. Hamas represents an Islamic ideology that does not recognize Israel's existence. Qatar's Prime Minister Sheikh Hamad said that the Middle East will not see peace unless there is first a resolution to the Palestinian issue. Israel must withdraw to the 1967 borders and allow the creation of a Palestinian state with Jerusalem as its capital, he said. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry made a Middle East visit on May the 23rd and 24th to speak with Benjamin Netanyahu and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas about restarting direct peace talks in the near future. Jordan's Foreign Minister Nasser Judeh said that he fully supports Kerry's efforts. British Foreign Secretary William Hague said that Britain supports Kerry's efforts also. Hague said that Britain believes that it is essential to bring about a two-state solution based upon the 1967 borders with agreed land swaps with Jerusalem as the shared capital of both states, with a fair and agreed settlement for Palestinian refugees. Palestinian negotiator Saeb Erekat said that he supports Kerry's efforts to restart direct peace talks, saying that in the past 2 months, Kerry met with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas 5 times, Erekat 3 times, and that the three spoke by phone almost weekly. Erekat reiterated the Palestinian position that Israel must freeze building Jewish homes in the West Bank and East Jerusalem and release Palestinian prisoners if the Palestinians are to agree to restart direct peace talks. He said that these were not conditions for returning to negotiations, but rather obligations that Israel must fulfill. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas said that Israel must choose between building settlements and negotiating peace. If the United States wants to help to restart direct peace talks, then settlement activity has to stop, he said. Regarding Kerry's plans to restart direct peace talks, Erekat said, Mr. Kerry is keeping things close to his chest. He likes to work very, very, very below the radar. We are doing everything in order to help him to succeed. He is not going to wait for years or months, actually. He's working very hard right now. After meeting with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas in Ramallah, one Palestinian official said that Kerry brought nothing new to his discussions. He said that Palestinian expectations remain low because they see Kerry trying to accommodate the Israelis rather than pressuring the Israelis to accept the Palestinian viewpoint. As a result, Erekat said that the Palestinians have done all the legal work necessary to be able to join 63 United Nations agencies, conventions, and treaties, including the International Criminal Court, should Kerry's efforts fail. However, he said that the Palestinians will withhold their request to join these organizations to give Kerry and President Barack Obama a chance to pursue pursue Middle East peace. We want to give a chance to all nations who have a common denominator of achieving two states on the 1967 borders, Erekat said. There is a chance. There's a good opportunity now. The Palestinians believe that without major U.S. pressure on Israel, the chance for success to restart direct peace talks is slim. Without major U.S. pressure on Israel, Palestinians believe the outlook seems bleak. Hanan Ashari, a senior Palestinian official, said, Kerry's plans should be a comprehensive one, not just economic and confidence-building measures in security, but also political and legal. We don't have unrealistic expectations. We know the immensity of obstacles. If it doesn't work, of course, we have our own plans. Concerned that the international community might blame the Palestinians for an impasse in the peace talks, Palestinian officials are planning a public relations offensive in diplomatic meetings around the world. Their main points will be to claim their willingness to compromise based on a 25-year-old policy of recognizing Israel along the 1967 lines, their commitment to meeting past obligations, and their acceptance of the renewed Arab Peace Initiative. Palestinian officials say that Kerry has given them a June 7th deadline for finding a framework agreement to being able to restart direct peace talks. U.S. officials say that they've never set a formal deadline for Middle East peace talks resuming or any other benchmark being reached. In his meeting with Kerry, Netanyahu said that the discussions were positive and that Israel had urged Kerry to do what he could do to convince the Palestinians to return to the negotiating table. In his comments, Kerry expressed optimism about restarting direct peace talks without outlining any concrete strategy yet to do so. He said, I know this region well, enough to know that there is skepticism. In some quarters, there is cynicism, and there are reasons for it. There have been bitter years of disappointment. It is our hope that by being methodical, careful, patient, but detailed and tenacious, that we can lay on a path ahead that can conceivably surprise people and certainly exhaust the possibilities of peace. Netanyahu replied by saying, this is something that I want, it's something that you want. It's something I hope the Palestinians want as well, and we ought to be successful for a simple reason. When there's a will, we'll find a way. However, Israeli officials have been very reluctant about talking about details of the package Kerry is working on to get the sides back to the negotiating table, saying that there was actually a chance it could work and a public discussion of the details could be detrimental to the success of the endeavor. When Kerry found out that Israel had plans to legalize 4 West Bank outposts in the past week, he made an angry phone call to Israel Ambassador Michael Oren in protest. Kerry urged Israel to reconsider its decision or at least delay it to a later date. U.S. Embassy spokesman Jeff Anisman said the United States does not accept the legitimacy of continued Israeli settlement activity and opposes any efforts to legalize settlement outposts which would undermine peace efforts and would contradict Israeli commitments and obligations. And explaining part of his strategy to restart direct peace talks between Israel and the Palestinians, Kerry said Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government can stop only some of the settlements being built in lands contested by the Israelis and the Palestinians, and in those cases, Israel should act. Kerry said that it was important not to let the issue of settlements stand in the way of talks that could finally set borders as part of a peace agreement. Then, he said the issue could be resolved because each side would have clear boundaries for their 2 states. He stressed the importance of security for Israel and borders for Palestinians, adding that those 2 goals can only be achieved through direct talks. Kerry called on both Netanyahu and Abbas to show their leadership and said that the 2 sides must be given 2 weeks to consider a resumption of direct negotiations. Kerry urged Israeli and Palestinian leaders to make hard decisions to revive the Middle East peace process by saying, we're getting toward a time now when hard decisions need to be made. Israeli officials said that the United States did not have a formal program for moving ahead with direct peace talks. Within the Netanyahu government, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's senior coalition partner, Yair Lapid, who leads the party Yesh Atid, which means there's the future, said that reaching a final peace agreement with the Palestinians is unrealistic at the current time, and that the sides should instead pursue an interim peace agreement. However, the Palestinians have repeatedly rejected this option. Lapid said that U.S. President Barack Obama should set a 3-year timeline for determining the final borders of a Palestinian state. As a gesture to the Israelis, he also called on Obama to endorse the position laid out by President George W. Bush in 2004, allowing Israel to keep the large Jewish settlement blocks in the West Bank. Lapid said, "I believe in the two-state solution. In my opinion, there is nothing more dangerous than the idea of a bi-national state." Lapid favors Israel and the Palestinians to immediately return to the negotiating table, even if it's controversial here and even if it's hard to trust the Palestinians. "We will not abandon negotiations," he emphasized. At the same time, Lapid said that he rejects a full withdrawal to Israel's 1967 borders. Lapid favors a broad pullout from the West Bank, including the dismantling of many settlements, but believes Israel should hold on to the major settlement blocks where the majority of Jewish settlers live. Lapid said that Israel should not change its policy on allowing the expansion of Jewish communities in the West Bank due to natural growth in order to revive the stalemated peace process. Lapid also believes that Israel should keep control of East Jerusalem. The Palestinians claim East Jerusalem as their capital of a future state. Finally, Lapid said that he believes that Netanyahu, concerned about his political legacy, is serious about pursuing a peace agreement. He also believes there is enough support in the Israeli Knesset, despite the presence of many pro-settler hardliners, to approve a withdrawal from much of the West Bank. Next, I'd like to share with you some details regarding a peace offer that Israel former Prime Minister Ehud Olmert made to the Palestinians in 2008. A sketched map of Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert's Land for Peace offer to Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas in 2008, hurriedly drawn up by Abbas after a meeting with Olmert that December and made public now for the first time, suggests that Israel was prepared to withdraw to borders very similar to the pre-1967 borders and swap areas of northern and southern Israel in return for maintaining the larger settlement blocks. The map, published by Walla News, was based on an offer Olmert made to Abbas on December 16, 2008, during a meeting in Jerusalem. Olmert presented Abbas with a large formal map showing his territorial compromise proposal for the contours of a Palestinian state as part of a permanent peace accord. "We asked them to meet the following day together with map experts in order to arrive at a final formula for a border between Palestine and Israel," Olmert said. Olmert demanded that Abbas initial the proposal before taking it back to Ramallah for consideration by the Palestinians. Abbas refused to do so. According to Walla, Olmert envisioned relinquishing Israeli territory on a one-for-one basis to the Palestinians. He also endorsed a tunnel route to link Gaza in the West Bank. Olmert, as he has subsequently confirmed, was also prepared to divide Jerusalem into Israeli and Palestinian-controlled neighborhoods and to relinquish Israeli sovereignty of the Temple Mount in the entire Old City. He proposed that the Holy Basin be overseen instead by a 5-member, non-sovereign international trusteeship comprising Israel, the Palestinians, Jordan, the United States, and Saudi Arabia. The map shows no Israeli presence in the Jordan Valley. Olmert said that Abbas did not accept his offer, but also did not specifically reject it. Rather, according to Olmert, Abbas failed to respond to it. As a result, Olmert said that Abbas is no hero. Until we do it again, Shalom in Yeshua the Messiah. Amen.